chance that the Uncle Howdy character that was a staple of the recent Bray Wyatt storyline before he passed may return in order to continue Bray's legacy. That was what a wrestling website is now reporting per sources. So that, that's something very interesting. And yeah, it definitely, that would be sweet, Lester. They do have a Blacklight Bray coming out. And if it's going straight from the WWE website, all of the proceeds should go directly to the Bray Wyatt family. Everything on their site has little notes that say that it's going to the Bray family, which is really awesome, So I definitely, I'll probably have to get that. I'm not even a real big collector of action figures like that. But I definitely will probably have to get that one, especially if the proceeds do go to the Wyatt family. The Rotunda family, because it was Wyndham Rotunda. So that's very interesting. Another recent rumor that I heard is that the WWE is in talks to potentially bring back Dolph Ziggler. Just not as highly paid as he was, basically, and with assurances for him that he will actually be used. But contrarily, there's also a lot of reports that everyone in AEW is telling them that you have to break the bank to bring him in. I don't know if they should necessarily break the bank to bring him in, but he would be an absolutely fantastic addition. And what has to happen immediately with him, he would have to do a promo that flips that famous promo he did where it's I give and I give and I give, but sometimes you don't get what you put in. He needs to do that, but flip it. He says, but now I'm going to take, and I'm going to take, and you have him go right at MJF for the heavyweight title. That would be, that's how you bring that in, and it would be seamless and perfect. But you'll hear more about my I will get more into my AEW stuff later. I'm actually filming a pre-recorded prediction special for the Nerd Initiative on the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. So that will debut tonight at 8 before tonight, and then NXT is tonight, and then tomorrow I'm going to also be on the Nerd Initiative account right after Wrestle Dream to do a post event show on their YouTube channel. Oh, Dolph Ziggler is one of the most underrated workers in the business. I am very happy that he at least got a few, albeit small, windows of true success. When he cashed in the Money in the Bank, that moment, he's even said this on interviews, it's that was my WrestleMania moment. That will never, to be able to duplicate that, because, he was known at the time for being a jobber. He would just get screwed over time and time again. So when he cashed in and he got the near pinfall, almost tapped out, that he was it was so great because the fans believed it. They're going to screw Dolph again. No way. And then he wins and the place erupted. He didn't have enough of those moments. His skill, especially at selling finishers, there is no one, and I repeat, no one in the business who is as good at selling a finisher than Dolph Ziggler. Period. He has always been that guy. He even famously has talked about, he's I'm going to do everything as good as I can, and this is one thing I know I can do better than anybody else. He was one of the best, bar none. Anyone says otherwise is just wrong. All right, so let's get into the NXT No Mercy preview. That is tonight at 8 p.m. on the streaming live on Peacock. There is a pre-show at 7, starting at 7. There is one match that I may talk about on here that's on the pre-show, but it's really not an important match, unfortunately. At least the only one that I've seen. But we're going to go into each match, who I think is going to win, and the storylines I think are going to spin out of it. So there's not going to be an order because I haven't been able to find a confirmed order in which they're going to go on. So we're just going to go down the list of every event. So the first one we're going to talk about is the tag team triple threat. No, actually, it's a fatal four-way, excuse me, between the Mafia Dons, the Creed brothers, and Los Lotharios, and this new tag team, which I'm forgetting their name, but they were impressive on NXT last week. This one's going to be quick because there's only one team here that is really worthy of the NXT tag titles, and it's the Creed brothers. I'm going to spend this entire segment doing two things. I apologize to the other two tag teams. They're great competitors, but I'm not going to, in this part, I have two things to say about this match. One, the team of the Don and his number two guy Stacks, I can't stand it. I hate this fake mafia boss. Like, the only thing that's been good about it that last one with the restaurant, that was intriguing. But like, when we're watching wrestling, we're supposed to suspend our belief that it's not scripted. Like, the results of everything are planned out, unless there's an injury and they have to, or something like that, they have to change it up on the fly. But 9 times out of 10, when they go into the match, they know exactly who's going to win. They know certain spots to make it as entertaining as possible, and that's what we want. But then you have people like D'Angelo and Stacks. I think Stacks is his name. Or even like, I'll even talk about like the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders, in my opinion, are two of the most talented people in the tag team division. What they can do at their size and with the power they have and their speed. These guys are one of them's over 300 pounds and he moves like a cruiserweight. The only thing holding them back is their gimmick, because we don't buy it. I love the Viking Raiders as a tag team. I think they're fantastic. And I wish we could suspend the disbelief. And I think it's the same thing with these mafiosos. I don't think any of us really, like, even for a second, believe that they're, mafia people. And for instance, when it comes to like Dirty Dom, like Dominic Mysterio, who we'll talk about later when we get to his match, Dominic Mysterio plays the fake, Dirty Dom, I've been to prison. Like, everyone knows it's an act. He's a drawn-on teardrop. Like, it's not a real thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's playing that fake role on purpose. But, when you look at these guys, it's like they're really like, yo, you're my number 2 guy. We're going to go in and we're going to take them out. Forget about it. It's like, no, you're going to wrestle them on a show where you make a lot of money. Well, decent money. I don't know their salaries. But it may not be good comparatively speaking. But for me, that's an issue in the WWE more than anything. Like, there are times where you can do like spooky shit and like get over, like the House of Black. Like, they're kind of like almost like magic, dark magic. That is easier to get over than the Viking Raiders or this group. Well, okay, so now Poppin' with Bees, if that is their like actual religion and they preach that stuff and they're doing that, then that is a different story, and they need to do a better job of explaining that on air. Or in a special or something. Like put them in there, like, because if that is the case, then they're, kind of living off the land, and they be doing Viking things like like chopping wood and fishing and doing all that kind of stuff, right? But they're talking about raiding. That's not a Norse like Norse religious act. You know what I mean? They're portraying Vikings. They're not out on the 7 seas like pillaging their hearts out. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be the same thing if they try to do a pirate. Like, unless you're literally only show up twice a year because that's when your boat makes port. Like, you can't be a pirate now. Like, you can do the fake pirate, like, like the scurvy thing from Dodgeball, something like that, maybe, like a comedy bit. But they're trying to make the Viking Raiders serious. And none of us, I think, I could be wrong. I'm going to speak for myself here. I can't take them seriously as Viking Raiders. You know what I mean? Like, it's more of a catchy name. And I understand, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going on and saying the gods are telling us to do this. we're gonna go raid, and they demand payment of bodies. That's raiding wasn't really legal then either. You know what I mean? Like, they just did that because that was their way of life. You know what I mean? Like, if that's, what they need to do then? They need to start stealing tag titles. Like, they need to go beat up the Judgment Day and take their titles and run away with them. And be like, these are ours now. We pillaged them. Like, then I'm on board. You want to know what? I will retract every single statement I said against the Viking Raiders. And again, I love them as a talent. They are so talented in the ring. But they don't let them talk. I don't know if that's because they're not good enough on the mic. That could be the case. But they don't let them talk. They don't let them. It's all through Valhalla, and it's falling short in my opinion, because then they'll have Valhalla lose to someone who has barely wrestled before in their life. Twice, I think. Valhalla used to be she was a former tag team champion, or at least in a tag team battle royal, when she was part of the Spirit Squad with Liv Morgan. You know what I mean? Like, she was a very, very talented wrestler. So, like, to have her be this voice piece for the gods and telling them to go do this, and then they fail at doing that, and she fails at winning, then they're just, they're dropping the ball. So if you want to do that bit, then you got to commit. And they have to be beastly, and they have to win a lot. Like, it shouldn't be up to Drew McIntyre to stop them. You know what I mean? Like, if Drew goes in there, they can't. He just destroys them. So like, every other person on the freaking roster should be terrified that the Vikings are going to come in and steal something of theirs, even if that's fake. You know what I mean? They have to start doing Viking shit other than just we wear Viking clothes. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing, so there are definitely, good parts about those characters. But yeah, I don't think, they're as over as they could be if they had a different gimmick. Like, if they were Norse, like if they started talking about how they're not Vikings, they're just Norse, they would get over in a heartbeat. Like, have them talk about why they're, the against the one gods and that and this. They could do so many things. Right, exactly. They've kind of given up on him at this point because they haven't gotten over with this gimmick, and it's because of how they're presenting him. Because if you're trying to tell me these are real ass Vikings, they gotta do something. You know what I mean? Even if it's like fake, where they go in and steal a wrestler's gear for the night. And then they're on the screen going, haha, look, we pillaged this, you weren't watching it, the Viking way. Then it makes sense. Then I'm on board, you know what I mean? Because, like, then that's, even if it's something stupid, like, hell, they did it before in the Ruthless Aggression era, they stole freaking Jericho and Edge's pants. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, all right, so I did get a little sidetracked. All right, we're back to No Mercy. The Creed brothers are winning this, and I don't think there's any doubt. The only way that the Creed brothers don't win is if D'Angelo uses a foreign object. Because I don't think they're the other tag team. They're with Scripps, and he is that's a very new tag team. I don't see them putting. They're gonna look very good in the ring with them, but I don't think they're gonna give them the belts. And the other Umberto and D'Angelo, Angel, if I'm not mistaken. I think is that who it is? But they are, more or less main roster talent, so I don't see them taking these belts. They have too many main roster people already with belts. But I do think there is going to be one of those main roster talents that has a belt is, in fact, going to lose a belt. We'll get to that in a little bit. All right, so for the tag team titles, it's going to the Creed brothers. There's no doubt in my mind about that. All right, next up, let's go. We're going to talk about Corbin versus Braun Breaker. Now, this match confuses me. The reason why this match confuses me is because, again, this is them taking us out of that suspension of disbelief. Braun Breaker, in a segment a few weeks ago, quote-unquote, busted a man's skull open, allegedly, Had to have him go to the hospital, was bleeding all over the place, left in a stretcher by slamming steel step, like making him a steel step sandwich, and he doesn't get suspended. He doesn't get like the fake firing. No, he gets a match on the next premium live event with one of the main roster stars that's on down there in NXT right now. Like, again, I understand that it's not real. It's scripted. I understand that. But when wrestling is at its best is when the stories are so good because they're authentic. Because you for a second go, man, that makes sense. Like, this is actually happening and not that it's scripted. No, I agreed. So I think part of the issue is they're biding their time before they bring him up to the main roster. I think there's about to be a NXT call-up session coming soon, and part of the reason why my picks are the way they are is because of that. Because with them, I really believe that Braun is heading up to the main roster. I think Braun is heading up to the main roster to join Judgment Day. I think he's going to join Judgment Day because I think Damian Priest and Finn Balor are going to they're going to screw themselves out of the tag titles, and he's going to blame Finn, and then he's going to cash in and fail because of Finn or because of someone in the Judgment Day messing up, and he's going to leave the Judgment Day, and then Braun's going to take his place as the big enforcer of the Judgment Day. That's what I think is happening. And at this point, they're just biding their time. They're just sitting there literally trying to, push this as long as possible with giving enough good matches or entertaining matches at least to where we don't mind that he's on NXT. And I think that is it's just, yeah. I just think they have no stories for him on the main. So Poppin' with Bees, if he's in the Judgment Day, he doesn't need a storyline. That's why I think it's going to happen. Because when you go into the Judgment Day, you just have to show up. And you're in the ring with the whoever they decide to have the Judgment Day go up against that week. It's probably going to be Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes. You don't even, like I said, Dom didn't have any storylines besides the fact that he was with his, going after his dad, his deadbeat dad, which, again, I hate that they call him deadbeat dad because, if anything, he's an absentee dad. Because he was provided for. Deadbeat dad is someone who leaves and doesn't want any contact with their kid and doesn't provide for their family or at all. Ray did that. Braun doesn't need a group. He doesn't. No, I agree with that. But this is how you get him on the roster. Because Judgment Day will eventually disband. There is no faction that lasts the entire run of people's WWE existence, unless it's a short existence, like Damage Control, that's gonna break up. Imperium will probably break up soon as well, but it's a stable, and again, he doesn't have to stay there for very long. That's just how you bring him up to the roster and make him feared. Braun is a monster in the ring. And don't get me wrong, I want him on the main roster. He could be feuding for the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship right this second. He's that good. But again, I just want him on. If they're not going to give him any, because they're not giving him any storylines on NXT besides he's a big mean guy who just wants to hurt people now. He's not in the NXT Championship picture. He's not in the North American Championship picture. He's nowhere except just fighting the next person. So if that's the case, move him up to the main roster. Because again, this is all predicated on him, on Damian Priest eventually leaving the Judgment Day soon, which I think is happening sooner rather than later. And I think Braun is a good fit to replace him in that role as the big enforcer of the Judgment Day. And then because I'll talk about this later as well, I think Carmelo Hayes, he's a freaking fairy's eyelash away from being on the main roster already. He was in there and hung in with the current one of the half of the tag team champions right now, Grand Slam Finn. You know what I mean? So, and then you look at someone like Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee is not going to be in NXT for much longer. He's already had a match on Raw, and then now he's going to have a match on SmackDown next week. One was against Dominic Mysterio for a title shot, and the other was against Austin Theory. I mean, like there is like they're making NXT less of a developmental and more of a, you know, like another brand almost, which is what I hope when they do Survivor Series, they actually do the 3 brand, like when they used to have like the Last Man Standing with the 3 brand. Like one of my favorite like PLEs of all time is that one that it was NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown, and it came down to Keith Lee and Roman Reigns, and they had one of the greatest endings of a match I've ever seen. It was beautiful. You know, I want that. You know, I feel like that's what they're building towards, and I hope that they do. But in this match, we've got the veteran versus Braun. You know, and I'm actually I think I'm in the minority here when I say I really like Corbin. I think he is very underrated as a talent. He is unbelievably safe in the ring from what every single superstar that's worked with him has said. So that makes me go, okay, he should be, you know, in the bigger spot. He, at one time, they thought he was going to be the next Undertaker. You know, he was the lone wolf, you know, and I don't know if it was his comments, you know, in the media that got him in trouble, that got him knocked down the card, but some of his character work, you know, Happy Corbin, Broke Corbin, he has reinvented himself numerous times and got over with every single one, except for this new one where it's like, oh, I just don't take shit from no one. I think Braun Breaker is going to win here, and if Corbin doesn't beat Braun Breaker after he goes down to NXT, be like, I'm going to teach all of you a lesson, he needs to go back up to the main roster, and they need to find something for him to do up there, because whatever they're trying to do with him down at NXT is not working unless it's just solely to get people over. If that's the case, I mean, he's unbelievable in the ring, so he can do that for anybody. Why not do it for better people? Or people who are higher up on the food chain that you're putting more money and effort into them. Hey, Happy, thank you for the follow. But yeah, so I definitely think Braun has to take this to save Braun's character, to make him, I mean, like, there was a time where he was beating everyone for the NXT title and was having 5-star matches with everyone. And now he's literally just hurting people. Like, whether it's real or not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the injury to Von Wagner is how real it is, you know? But it's definitely not okay. You know, like, he's got such a high upside, and it seems like they're just so determined to not use it, which would be a shame. Because like I said, he's got a really high upside. Oh, side note, I'm wearing my childhood, my green screen is going to mess it up, but it's the NWO Wolfpack shirt that I've wanted since I was a kid. I finally have it. And I got it for super cheap too. I'm so excited. Yo, NWO for life. Like I said, like when I was a kid, like I wanted this shirt more than anything, you know, because I mean, one of my favorite wrestlers back then was Sting. Still is. I love Sting. Not back then, but like I was obsessed with Sting. Like it was before he even got the red and black. But once he got to the red and black Sting, I was like, because red and black is my favorite color scheme next to black and purple. Like, so like that looked so cool. And I always wanted one, but they were like $30, you know, back in the day. And it wasn't as easy to just go on eBay or to go on, you know, Amazon or whatever and order it off there. You had to either go to the show or go directly through the WWE or WWF at the time. And I wasn't asking my folks for that. Spending $30 on a wrestling t-shirt, they would have laughed in my face, justifiably so. I mean, we weren't loaded, you know what I mean? So, like, for me to go, can I get this NWO shirt, please? No. Like, what are you talking about? Would you like to eat this week? I'm not even, like, I'm not complaining. I get it, especially as an adult now. But, man, yeah, I definitely believe that like I was like when I saw it I was like I had to have it, and it was only like $10. Like to get it for $10 now. If it was only $10 then I would have asked for it. You know what I'm saying? $10 for free shipping, boy. Give me the NWO shirt. I'm so excited. Look at me. I am literally like shiny right here. I'm all amped up. This is wrestling talk on Junkie. Let's go. All right, so Victor, I've got not Baron Corbin. I've got Braun Breaker taking the victory here. They should have at least made this a no holds barred or something match. You know what I mean? Like just having a regular match is just stupid. And I'm not taking credit for this, but I want to talk about it. Someone talked about how like the most dangerous place in the WWE is the NXT parking lot because people be like getting like fake injured out there and attacked like every freaking week. And why don't they have a freaking parking lot no holds barred match? That's what this should be. They should be like, all right, we're just going to let you guys go outside and just fight. Ding, ding, ding. Go ahead. Like, that's what they should have done with this match. But unfortunately, it seems it's just going to be a regular match, but that's okay. All right, moving along. Let's see. We're going to talk about the Heritage Cup final between Noam Dar and Butch. I cannot stand that his name is Butch. That is Pete Dunne. Put some respect on that man's name. He was a freaking NXT UK god. And the fact that his name is now Butch, and he's a member of a tag team that's unfortunately not going anywhere, which doesn't make any sense to me because they're aligned with Sheamus, who, oh, that's right, they decide to let him not go anywhere either. It makes all I know is that before Sheamus leaves the WWE, whether it's retirement or leaving, they better get him an Intercontinental Championship run, even if it's for a freaking day. Because the fact that he has not won an Intercontinental Championship, and that is the only thing holding him back from being Grand Slam Sheamus, man, give the Celtic War the Intercontinental Championship. Come on, man! Before he's done, that man deserves a run at the Intercontinental Championship. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to NXT. No Mercy, Noam Dar, and our pleasantly named Butch. So if you haven't been keeping up, they've been doing a tournament. Hey, what's up, crazy lady? If you haven't been keeping up on NXT, what they've been doing is they've been doing a Heritage Cup tournament where it's people from all over the world in this like cup tournament to get this like it's like kind of like a championship belt, but it's not a belt, it's like a cup that you just walk around with. And Noam Dar has had it, lost it, then they made a fake one, then they replaced it, and then I don't know. But Noam Dar, I can't stand Noam Dar's gimmick, but I love him in the ring. And his gimmick isn't bad, it's just not for me. And I did find out he is actually from Israel, which is weird. I did not know that, so that's pretty cool. But the Heritage Cup is going to be him versus Butch, a.k.a. Pete Dunne. They're going to screw Pete Dunne. They're going to use Pete Dunne to get Noam Dar over. Which I get it. I do. But I don't like it. Because one thing about Dunne, or Butch, however you want to call him, he has been a very, very good wrestler and very reliable wrestler for so long that to have him go down to NXT and put on these fire matches with every single person in his bracket. Like, he had an almost instant classic with Tyler Bate, the big strong boy, 2 weeks ago on NXT, like to the point where I was like, that might be match of the year. Holy crap. Like, it was so good. But then to have him be jobbed out to Noam Dar, I don't like it. But I have Noam Dar beating Butch to remain Heritage Cup champion. I hate to say it, but I just, it's going to be a fantastic match, and Pete Dunne, a.k.a. Butch, is going to elevate Noam Dar to a level that Noam Dar's talent can't do alone. And that's good for him at least. I'm not mad because I get why. But it's just, I feel for Butch, aka Pete Dunne, for all he's done for the WWE. I would like to see him get a win there and take the Heritage Cup. So like, if I'm wrong, this is one of the few that my predictions where I'm wrong, I'll be so happy. Like, I'll be like, you know what, serves me right for not going with the better storyline and thinking of a business decision when I make my picks for this, because business-wise, it makes it perfect sense to have Noam Dar do a really good match with Pete Dunne, a.k.a. Butch. I keep saying it because I don't like that it's Butch, but I have to say it right. And then continuing to defend the Heritage Cup on NXT, where he already is. You know, if you're going to take the Heritage Cup with Pete Dunne, you're going to, you know, have an issue, with Butch, where it's off brand. It could be in the other side of the world. You know what I mean? Like, and you already have Becky Lynch with the NXT Women's Championship, and I don't think that's going anywhere until they bring in the newest signing for the WWE, Jade Cargill. I don't think that we'll get to this later when I get to that match. I don't think she's losing to Tiffany Stratton. And I just don't see them giving another NXT thing to a main roster talent that is just going to leave, because Butch is only in NXT for this tournament. So I don't see him taking the championship and running. That just doesn't make any sense to me if I'm like talking from a Booker's standpoint. What's up, Squally? All right, next up. Moving right along. Next up is the North American Championship. Dirty Dominic Mysterio versus Trick Williams with special guest referee Dragon Lee. So, this match is weird because Trick Williams inserted himself in a triple threat to make it a fatal four-way for a chance to get this shot. And he did a double bookend, a.k.a. a double rock bottom, and it was pretty awesome. This is going to be a great match. I agree, Hustle. I agree. It's going to be funny for sure, and I think it's actually going to be a sneaky banger. I think this is going to be awesome because Trick is underrated. Like, he moves like a cruiserweight, but is built like... Hell, he's almost built like a Braun Breaker. Like, he big, strong. You think there's going to be a twist? So I think he's big, yo. Like, but he moves like a cruiserweight. So it's very interesting. I think in my prediction here is that Trick Williams takes the NXT Championship from Dominic Mysterio because of a not actual interference from Dragon Lee. So what I think is going to happen is, I think Dragon Lee is going to call something that Dom doesn't like, and he's going to get up in his face, and Trick is going to use that moment to steal the victory. Which is going to continue the battle between Dominic and Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee will be on SmackDown next week. The Judgment Day are going to be on SmackDown next Friday. So that would continue that. And then there's another reason why I think Trick is going to win here, and I will get to that in a little bit when we talk about the NXT Championship. I think that is what's going to happen. And you know, listen, I these are my predictions, and you know, I give the reasons why I'm predicting them. I can be wrong. No problem here. And this is one I'm going out on a limb on, because Trick, you would think, at least on the hierarchy, is not on Dominic's level. But I think Dom has done a lot. Yeah. I definitely think that's what I think is going to be it. The distraction, and then Trick steals the win. And I think Dom has done so much for NXT. It's time to let him go back up to the main roster. I mean, he's never left the main roster, but he had the NXT championship, so he wasn't trying to do anything to further storylines really on the main roster. I think they should start pushing him towards bigger titles. I think whether he wins it or not, interject him into the Intercontinental Championship fights, interject him into the U.S. Championship fights, because he's with Judgment Day and they pop up everywhere. You know what I mean? He's done so well for NXT. I agree. Hustle Mo Funko said Dominic is on fire right now. He has the potential for the business, and I agree. And that's why I think he's done enough for the NXT brand that they're going to let him lose this title here and let him go up to the main roster and really shine. And also, it's going to push the storyline that I think is going to happen moving forward, where the tag team titles are lost. And then Dom loses. So the only person in the Judgment Day with a title is going to be Rhea. And then she's going to be looking at them like, what are you doing? You all lost all your titles while I was hurt, and that's ridiculous. I can't do a Australian accent. That was my best shot at it. I think I got a couple words okay. I can do other accents, but not the Australian. I can't do it. I don't like the storyline with Rey Mysterio. Initially on the Rey Mysterio thing, I liked it. I like that he betrayed him. I'm okay with that. That makes a lot of sense. His reasoning for it. I can't stand that he calls him a deadbeat dad, because even let's just get into the character of Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom's mind. Okay, he's mad at Rey for never being there, whilst providing, whilst getting him a job, whilst, he's an absentee father versus a deadbeat father. I disagree with Jokin Miz Inc. I think he is far better in ring than people are giving him credit for. And his last couple, if you saw his match with Dragon Lee, they showed out on Raw. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think he's still young. You got to realize he didn't get an NXT run. He was Dominic Mysterio's father. Dominic Mysterio's father is Rey Mysterio, the Hall of Famer. He got thrown up right in there with him to get him a tag team championship with his dad. You know what I mean? So he's learning on the fly in front of thousands of people. He's come a long way. He's doing a really good job. He moves like Baby Huey. I don't think so. Dominic Mysterio definitely has not reached his potential, the peak of his potential at all yet. I agree with that 100%. I really want them to stop doing he's the modern day Eddie Guerrero. I'm sorry, there is no modern day Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is one and only. You can pay homage to him. You can, model your style after him, but to say you're this generation's Eddie Guerrero is just wrong. You're wrong. Period. Exactly. There will never be another Eddie Guerrero. He was absolutely, Eddie Guerrero is the one who actually made it so smaller wrestlers had a chance. Before they gave Rey a shot, they had to give him and Chris Jericho a shot. Eddie was too real. He did all, he entertained the crowd. He was fantastic in ring. He did the lie, the cheat, and the steal, that kind of gimmick. But when it came to his promos, he just dropped everything and became Eddie Guerrero. You know what I mean? He was just himself talking there. That one with Brock Lesnar, where he's talking about, where he's like, I am an addict, man. That's why I can't lose ese. That promo is one of the top promos of all time. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's number one. I'm not going to sit here and try to even argue or debate that, but it's in that conversation of greatest promos of all time. I'll say this. If down the road, if Dominic Mysterio is giving promos like that, I'll shut my mouth. I'll even apologize. Apologize. I will 100% be like, yo, I was wrong. They just took longer to build than I thought it would. 100%. But he's definitely not. Just because you do a frog splash, just because you do the shimmy, just because you got a mullet, And just because you do the Three Amigos does not make you the next Eddie Guerrero. It makes you someone who honors that man every time you're wrestling. There's a difference. And then you also throw that it's funny. It's real funny. He talks about how his dad's a deadbeat, but he still uses the 619. Yeah, agreed. Hustle Mo Funkos says Eddie Guerrero was himself in real life and in the wrestling industry. Absolutely. And that's why he was so important to us. That's why we loved him so much, and that's why he got over. The powers to be didn't want to see him as champion, but the universe, the WWE universe said we want him as champion. But okay, we are getting very sidetracked. I'll be doing more episodes like this on here where we talk wrestling. But I want to get back to the NXT stuff. So yes, I think Trick Williams defeats Dominic Mysterio on an unintentional interference by the special guest referee Dragon Lee, causing Dom to be rolled up and lose the title to Trick Williams. And there's a big reason for that I will get to in just a moment. Next up, we have the women's NXT Extreme Rules match between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch. We've got Grand Slam Bex and Bex T coming in and doing a amazing job bringing in viewers, which is why she's down there. And people are are literally calling like, "Oh, Becky Lynch, she's going down there. She's taking titles from the young talent. She's putting these people over and bringing so many eyes to the property." Her match with Tiffany Stratton, the last one, was absolutely phenomenal. Tiffany Stratton looked like the better wrestler for a good portion of it. In the end, the veteran, the more talented Becky Lynch did win in the end, but there were a few times where you're like, holy shit, Tiffany's gonna Tiffany's gonna retain. Tiffany's gonna beat the first ballot Hall of Famer. Oh, but she then brings the NXT Championship up to Raw and has title matches on there too, putting more eyes on the product. There is more to this story about her winning the NXT Championship than just her winning the NXT Championship. It's what she's doing for NXT in the process. And the banger that she's about to put on with Tiffany Stratton in an Extreme Rules match, they're going to be Tiffany is so athletic. Tiffany Stratton is one of the most physically gifted wrestlers I have ever seen when it comes to fluidity of moves. Everything she does is so ridiculously crisp. It's almost like a video game. It's the same every time. Perfect every single time. And it's her moonsault is one of they call it the prettiest moonsault. Or the most gorgeous, something like that. She's freaking amazing. And she's got a long future in this business. And she's going to have a lot of competition down in NXT very shortly. Because in case you didn't know, it is official. Jade Cargill is now a signed member of the WWE roster for many, I think they said multiple years. I'm going to say many years. Because I think she's going to stay there. She wants the legacy. She doesn't need the money. She's got money. She's doing it for the legacy. Maybe I'm not going to sit there and say some of it's not for the money. Of course, some of it is. But Jade Cargill is amazing. Jade's showing up tonight. This is the only reason why I'm shocked that they announced that she was signed, because if you don't announce it, it's a huge moment. Huge. Where people are like, oh my God, Jade Cargill! Ah! But now we're expecting it. You know what I mean? She's definitely gonna either, I don't know if she's gonna even say anything, or even she's gonna throw a punch or anything. She's definitely gonna be there at the end of this match. She may even interfere in it. I could see, and this is not good. This is not my pick. This is an alternate. This is this would be cool. I could see her getting involved. It's an Extreme Rules match. Remember, anything goes. She can literally show up there and just take them both out and just leave and have the referee count the 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think one thing that would be interesting is if she interjects into the match and costs Becky Lynch the championship because she thinks that Tiffany is an easier target. And then the next NXT next week, she comes out and says, I took out Becky Lynch, the Hall of Famer, because I want the NXT Women's Championship, and Tiffany, you're an easier mark. I want my shot. You know what I mean? So that will create a feud with her. You got to create a future feud with Becky Lynch down the road when she goes up to the main roster. I think she should go main roster right away, but all signs indicate that she's going to NXT first. And which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think her and NXT can do a lot of good for both Jade and the product, first of all. That's the main thing. You look at it from a business decision. People are watching Raw. People are watching SmackDown. What are they not watching in big numbers? NXT. How do you change that? You put Becky Lynch on NXT. You put the newish signing for the new TKO Holdings, Jade Cargill, on there and push her to the moon. Make her this NXT's Mandy Rhodes. She wins the title and then just dominates for a year. And then goes up to the main roster, takes out whoever is the champion. I'm hoping Bianca Belair to set up a feud. It didn't even have to be a year. 6 months. Like, have her literally defend her title every freaking week and be like, I don't care who it is. I'm defending this championship every week because no one on this brand can beat me. And have her do great matches, squash a whole bunch of people, and then have maybe Becky Lynch. Like, right before they plan to bring her up to the main roster, Becky comes down and be like, I'm defending this championship against anybody. Then, whoa, you hear Becky's music. The man, Becky Lynch, is here. They have a great match. Becky loses. Or Becky, maybe have Becky win that. And then have Jade go up to the main roster and take it back. And then lose it to whoever you have as the next... maybe even Tiffany back, you know what I mean? Or maybe have, oh my God, do like an elimination chamber. Jade Cargill, you put Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, Becky Lynch. You need, 6? Yeah, Becky Lynch. Remember, we're talking about NXT Championship. We're not talking about a bigger championship. It's going to be, then you got, what's her name? Roxanne Perez. Then you got Tegan Knox. And then, I don't know, Santa. What's up? Throw in someone like Chelsea Green or someone, just or Natalia. And that would be a banger of a match. And then Jade gets screwed over, and that's when Tiffany takes the belt. That'd be a good way to do it. But I definitely think that Becky Lynch is winning here. But we are going to have an appearance by Jade Cargill, either interfering in this match or just basically like, hey, I'm here and I'm coming for that championship. I think that's, a foregone conclusion. And then finally, we have the NXT Championship, Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov, who is literally a Russian anime villain at this point. If Ilya Dragunov doesn't win this, I am going to be exceptionally disappointed. He's my pick to win. And then and part of the reason why I picked Trick to win, I even thought of the Trick winning, was the change in dynamic where Trick goes on his own, immediately becomes the NXT North American champion, and Carmelo loses his NXT championship. And then they feud, and then that sends Carmelo to the main roster. Because Carmelo Hayes should be up in the main roster with going up against the likes of Ricochet, Chad Gable, those type of workers. Oh God, can you imagine him and Kofi Kingston? Oh, Kofi Kingston has been doing match after match after match, just absolute bangers. So any match I see Kofi Kingston verse, I'm like, that's a banger. It's a bad. Dude is almost 50, killing it. But NXT Championship, this match right here has the potential to be not only the match of the night, but match of the year candidate. These two put on at the All-American Bash one of the greatest NXT matches I've ever seen. And this will be no different. And the only reason why Ilya didn't win last time is because Trick Williams was there and interfered. So without Trick, it should be even, and Ilya Dragunov should finally win the NXT Championship. He has had nothing but absolute bangers with the likes of the now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. I mean, he wasn't Gunther when he was on NXT, but he had every match that Dragunov goes in. Oh my God, his match with Braun Breaker. Oh my God, his match with Wesley. Come on. Every match Dragunov steps in, every ring he steps into, he's one of the best performers on the planet, in my opinion. Yes, he was Walter. Thank you. I couldn't remember. He was what was his name back then? That was when he was a little bit chubbier too. Yeah, dude, that match with him and Braun was you're talking about some of the best matches that the WWE has put on, and that's across all the brands. And these are two of the absolute best they have in NXT, and honestly on all rosters. I want Von Wagner to come back too. I hope he does. And I hope that injury was all planned. Like he was trying to take time off and they just made it look really good, because in real life, he's actually had brain surgeries and Walter, there you go, Hustle. That makes sense. He's actually had real brain surgeries and real brain trauma, so if that was an accident or wasn't planned or anything like that, like if they did that just to write him off for a while so they can do whatever they're doing, maybe he's going to take a vacation or whatever, or just to find a good storyline for him, or whatever the case may be, I hope that's what it was. Because if it was anything close to real, then that and I talked about that earlier, like how do you not suspend him? How do you not fine him? How do you because I understand, I say this all the time, I understand it's not real. It's scripted. I get that. I totally do. But if that was scripted, there's no legitimate reason for us to suspend the disbelief that it's anything but scripted. And I hate that. I love when wrestling, you're watching, you forget that it's not real. Okay, so when you look at what happened there, I mean, Von Wagner could be dead. That's just bad. Right, it's supposed to make us forget. It's supposed to make us watch and go, oh my God, this is real. And while the action itself is real, the outcome is not. So for right now, literally, unless there's an injury or a last minute Vince McMahon style change, right now, they know who's going to win this match, as well as every match on the card. So that doesn't take away from the fact that it's real in the sense that you're watching it, so what the running gag for me is, wrestling's fake. Hey, do you know that the Marvel movies are fake too? Do you go into the Marvel movies thinking, man, I saw Tony Stark last week, this is amazing? No, you go in knowing that it's fake. And that's what I think makes wrestling so special, is that we all collectively know and still forget at times. And Poke, that's what I talked about that. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Ilya is winning the NXT Championship. Carmelo's going to lose. I spoke about it a little while ago. I think that Trick is going to defeat Dominic Mysterio in we're going to say, confusion-riddled distraction, and he's going to roll him up for the win. Because I think Dominic is going to get in Dragon Lee's face about a call, and Trick is going to use that, and he's going to beat him, and he's going to shimmy his way out like he stole that one, like Eddie Guerrero would have. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think that's going to now create a great storyline that then now you have Trick with the title, and then here comes Mello coming back up like, hey, what's up, bud? How you doing? After they just had a falling out. He's like, man, what you doing here? Where's your title? Bye-bye. And then they could start a whole beef with them, which will then lead to him leaving, Carmelo leaving NXT and going up to the main roster. And either way, Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes will put on one of the best matches you'll see all year tonight. Well, so I don't know, because I don't think Trick and Mello are going to stay together. So Poke Tyler, I talked about this a little while ago too. I don't know if he's top 5, but he's definitely in that conversation. I like the fact that there are certain NXT NXT championships with main roster talent because of what Becky Lynch has been able to do single-handedly for the viewership when she goes down to NXT, and for all the attention that Dominic Mysterio is getting every time he's introduced as the NXT champion. And I think he's going to lose that tonight. And that's another reason why I don't think Butch is going to defeat Noam Dar, because they're not going to have him take the Heritage Cup up to SmackDown. You know what I mean? So that there's still going to be one. Yes, I agree. Hustle, he said it creates more beef to continue the animosity storyline between them, fueling this. Yes, I 100%. I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. And then it's going to be the dynamic is going to switch because now Trick is the champion and Carmelo isn't. And that's going to be something that Carmelo's not going to be very keen on dealing with. Because remember, Carmelo is him. But him don't have no championship no more, so him walking around with the guy, you know what I mean? Poke Tyler, that's exactly what I said too. I think that they have Butch, so I'm going to have this all up on YouTube. I'm going to find out how long the flicks are allowed to be on here, because I might just post the whole thing on here as well. But the whole episode will be available elsewhere. But yeah, agreed. He's going to make Noam Dar look so freaking good in the win that it would be beneficial. I understand why they're doing it. It makes 100% sense. All I said was I feel for Pete Dunne, because that man has been a consistently amazing worker for this company for the better part of a decade at this point, because he was over there, doing his thing with NXT UK until they merged them, and then did a whole bunch of stuff at NXT, and then now is on the main roster. Like he's put in the work. I want him to get a championship chance again at somewhere. But yeah, that's the whole card. So I definitely am looking forward to this premium live event on Peacock. At the pre-show starts at 7. The main show starts at 8. I'm gonna assume that this match is probably gonna be the final match, and the NXT Women's Championship will be the opening match, or actually vice versa. The only reason why the Women's Championship might be the ending match is because the Jade Cargill injection. Because what better way to fade to black than Jade Cargill staring down Becky Lynch? Well, and see, that's why I thought the Extreme Rules would be first. Because get that out of the way, and then they can clean everything up for the rest of them. Oh, I guess either way. Yeah, you would have that end at the end too. No, that makes sense. Yeah, to have it at the end of the night, because my brain went with do it first, clean it, then you don't have to worry about it. But that makes more sense to have it because you're gonna break shit. Might as well have it at the end of the night. So that makes a lot of sense. And then you add the fact that freaking Jade Cargill is gonna show up. Yeah, that's the end. That's the final match right there. Oh, yeah, dude. Everyone's tuning into NXT next week. 100% if Jade Cargill shows up and stares down Becky Lynch, or maybe, or maybe even takes Becky Lynch and Stratton out at the end of the match. So I think Becky's going to win. But you got Becky and Tiffany about to shake hands, and all of a sudden her music hits. And she comes stomping down to the ring, destroys them both. Almost kind of makes we're going to be hey, I'm in, I want to say hi, and then destroys them both, and then she just raises the NXT Women's Championship. That is beats them both and holds up the NXT Women's Championship, fade to black. That would be that's how you end a pay-per-view. Or I guess in WWE's case, a premium live event. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm going to be watching it live. I don't know if I'm going to be live streaming my reactions. I might do a few, but I'll probably be live tweeting it with the Nerd Initiative on X, whatever you call it, hashtag NI Wrestling. And then we're going to be recording in the 2 hours. I'm literally I do this. I'm going to close this, take my dog out, and get set up for the next one because we're going to do a prediction special for the AEW pay-per-view, which is tomorrow, Wrestle Dream. So yeah, make sure you check that out, Nerd Initiative on YouTube and everywhere else, as well as me here on Junkie and everywhere else. It's Nerdtooine, just like the name right here. Is right there. Whatever, you see it right by my microphone. And I'm going to be doing a lot of more. This is just part of what I do on here. I'm actually the comics community team lead. I am going to be doing comic sale shows with my own exclusives, my own comic coming soon, as well as great other books. And we're bringing on a whole bunch of talent for the comic book division as well. So if you're interested in any of that or know anyone who is, let them know that Junkie is going to be the place for comics very soon, with a community that we can all be proud of, and a very intelligent community because knowledge is power. And I say this to end almost every one of my shows. This is Nerdtooine. I'm signing off. Thank you for stopping by, and you stay nerdy, my friends.